Hello and welcome to another Jimbo's Driveway. You may notice today that I'm not in the usual surroundings of my Jaguar XJS, but I am in fact in my SAAB 9.3 Aero, which is my daily driver. Some of you may have seen it crop up on my Instagram if you follow me on there. And you know, when I started the channel, it's really because I bought the XJS and I thought I had an interesting car that other people might be interested in, and it gave me a good reason to do the videos. I haven't really thought about doing a video for the SAAB because I just thought it's a bit dull and uninteresting to most people. However, I've noticed that there are people that are right into their SAABs, and actually I'm a bit of a SAAB convert myself because I've had this car for just coming up to 4 years, and for me that is an absolute world record, or personal best I should say, because I've had many cars over the years, but I don't think I've ever had one for this long. And I think that just tells a story that even though on the face of it you might think the SAAB's a bit dull and uninteresting, it's actually got enough to keep me interested enough to keep it for that length of time. And it also means it hasn't given me too many horrendous headaches at the same time either. Up until I bought this car, I would never really have even considered buying a SAAB, even though I've always been petrolhead for years and always been into my cars and wanted something a bit more interesting and exciting to run on a daily basis, and just never entertained one because I just thought they were just for older people who are not that interesting. They were unanimously bought by architects and graphic designers, of which I wasn't one. So I didn't really understand much about the brand or have much appreciation for it until I bought this. So I can probably tell you as much about SAAB as you already know. Went out of business after General Motors failed to turn them around because they insisted on building cars to a much better quality than what General Motors wanted. Many people will make the comparison between the late SAABs and Vauxhalls. This very car, I believe, is based on a Vectra chassis of the day, but there is very little that is the same between those two cars. I've spent an hour in a Vauxhall. My parents have had Vauxhalls, my friends have got Vauxhalls, and I can honestly say that this is a different world. When you bear in mind that this car is 17 and a half years old, getting on for 18 years old, it has been reasonably well looked after. It's had 2 owners before me. It had stacks of history. It was maintained by a SAAB dealer for many years by its first owner. But it's still, even so, it's aged very well. Yes, it's got all the signs of wear and tear on it. It's got a few bits of trim missing. The cup holder isn't working, and there are various other bits and pieces. But generally, it's really still a very nice place to be. It's very comfortable. It's quiet. There's no nasty squeaks or rattles. A Vectra of this age would not be the same car to drive at all. And I think owning a SAAB has really given me an appreciation for the brand that I never had previously. And now I've got this car, I can't think why I would ever want to change it or get rid of it, because to everyone else it's just worthless. They're just worthless. They're not worth any money. Like, even if I stuck this up for sale now, I'd be lucky to get 1,200 quid for it probably, which is, you know, what else could you go and buy 1,200 quid that does all the things that could take you around this comfortably and this nicely, with 250 horsepower under your right foot. And I'll come back to that in just a moment. Well, what else can I tell you about this car? Well, this car has had some very mild modifications. It's got a stage 1 ECU remap on it, and it's got a K&N air filter, and it's also got a centre box delete, which is only because there was a bit of rot, and it was cheaper to take out the whole middle box than it was to put in another one. And I thought that might make it a little bit more sporty sounding, but it doesn't really make any difference at all, which I just think goes to speak for the level of engineering that went into these cars. Is the fact that I've taken out a whole centre box and it's barely changed the noise level at all. But anyway, yeah, I mean, these cars came with 210 horsepower as standard. They're a 2-litre turbocharged engine based on the Vauxhall Ecotec, I believe, unless someone wants to correct me on that. And with a little bit of light performance tuning, they're actually very, very capable. It certainly doesn't hang about when you put your foot down. There isn't too much turbo lag, but it certainly does once it gets going. It really can haul you through along the road. And with a 6-speed gearbox as well, it means that you can cruise it on the motorway at, between around 70 miles an hour, and it'll return very good gas mileage, and also just poodle along very nicely. Dare I say, if you wanted to push it a bit further, it's also quite happy at doing that, I would believe. I do always think to myself, I could do a bit more with this car. It would be nice to maybe do a bit more to it, because I bought it with the K&N and I bought it with the remap already done. So I've literally done nothing to this car. You might see a thing there. I bought my Jag in a similar state where I'd let someone else do all the bits I wanted to. I would like to do some more, but I just really can't justify doing it at the moment. But what I have considered is that at some point, if this no longer becomes my daily driver, then what do I do with it? Like I've said, it's pretty much worthless to anyone else. I couldn't bear to part ways with it for such little money what it's worth. I mean, I've spent a few £1,000s on maintenance. This car has got just under 124,000 miles on it. I have had to do the clutch, which is a reasonable job in this car. I've also had to do the timing chains, which was something I was in denial about for many months, and had many other things changed before that: auxiliary belts, adjusters, pulleys, various other bits and pieces. But on the whole, what that's done is that's now made it a very very good car. Like there's nothing other than some routine maintenance that really needs to be done to this to keep it ticking over. It's had new brakes, all service and maintenance parts. Other than that, the car's been very reliable. For 124,000 miles, it feels to me like it's probably got another 124,000 in it. And when you get to the B roads and you open it up, it still can raise a bit of excitement. And when you throw it around the corners, it's actually not too bad. This has got like the sports suspension that this comes with in the Aero model. It's perfectly compliant, but also you can throw it around a little bit with reasonable confidence. I don't know how well it'd fare on a track day, but I don't really see SAABs particularly as track day vehicles. But who knows? I mean, maybe, when I do get to the point where I'm going to replace this as a daily, what will I do with it? Maybe that will be the opportunity and the time to do a few more bits to it. Maybe use it as a cheap track car. I don't know. Who knows? It's difficult to know what other car you can get for so little money that could give you so much value. It's got such a easy to live with demeanour. It's not too thirsty on the petrol. It's got a bit of go in it when you give it some, and it's costs virtually nothing to run. I'm really smitten, and I never entertained owning the Saab before this, but having this car has really made me think different. My wife has got a 1 Series BMW, which is a few years newer than this, and every time I take that for a drive, it squeaks and rattles, and I think I'd rather be in the Saab any day. So I don't think I'd want to go back to a BMW, even though I've had a few in the past. I like my Saab. The thing about this car is that it's an old car. It's not, you know, it's not tatty. It's not, you know, no one's going to give it a second look, are they? Yet when you have to give it some beans, it can really surprise people. Cars of this, similar cars of this age would be like a Mark V Golf GTI, for instance, and this is easily on par performance-wise with one of those. 210 horsepower as standard. This one's got probably about 250 with the matte, remat, and a Canon air filter, but it's easily comfortable in that sort of company. I have to be careful what I say because I'm a realist. This is a 17-year-old Saab. I'm not going to try and pretend it's going to keep up with Quadrifoglio or something like that, but it will hold its own, no doubt about it. I've taken this car on some runs to Goodwood with friends in things like Focus STs, Mark V Golf GTIs, similar sort of age and similar sort of company to this. This car easily holds its own. It's quite an eye-opener for these people because they've got what are widely regarded as, you know, the classic sort of like hot hatches and sort of like those sort of modified performance cars that people think, oh, they're fast. They don't look at a Saab and think it's going to be anything other than, you know, a pipe and slippers type car. But believe me, it can hold its own. Every time something comes along where I think I'm going to have to spend a few quid on it, the way I rationalise it is, well, if I bought myself a new car and I was leasing or financing it, I'd have, you know, 300 quid plus overhead to pay it every month. This cost me nothing on a month-to-month basis. I would also then have to either deal with the depreciation or the fact that when the lease runs out, I've got to replace it and find another few grand probably as a down payment deposit. And every time I have to spend even, you know, like £1,000 on this car, I just think, if I had a brand new car, I just don't think I would get much more out of it in terms of, you know, comfort, reliability, performance. This just ticks all the boxes. It just seems like such an obvious choice that it's difficult to warrant buying a new car, even though I would love to have a new car and all the new gizmos in it and everything else. I just can't see how I can let go of this. So that's almost it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I've maybe even changed the mind of one or two people out there who, like me, who had never even entertained the idea of owning a Saab as something that could actually be an interesting car to drive, to live with, a performance family car, if you will, and that these actually are, you know, quite a good choice if you want something that's cheap, fun to drive, got a bit of performance, and you can fit the whole family in, and even go and do the shopping, which is actually what I'm off to do right now. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. There is more coming up this year. I'm not too sure when, with all the things that are going on at the moment. It's hard to say. I do intend to do some features on some other people's cars this year, and widen the scope of what I'm doing on the channel. I hope you're enjoying it. If you are, please subscribe and like. Feel free to leave a comment. I'll get back to them as soon as I can. And that's all for now. I hope you've enjoyed it. Bye bye.